What is good, everybody? We are back with another video, and today we're coming at you guys with an updated version of a video that I've done before. So we've got Rules of Survival versus PUBG Mobile once again, but PUBG Mobile has actually launched worldwide now. And because of that, it's easier to give an accurate estimate of how the game is. And also, both games have changed a lot ever since the release of PUBG Mobile over in China. It's obviously a lot different to play whenever you can actually read the game. So starting off, obviously, one of the things that you got to look at is the graphics. So one thing that we said before, and I would still continue to say, is that PUBG Mobile is the more realistic game. I think that's what the game is aiming for. Rules of Survival has always been a little bit more cartoony, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think when you're looking at a video game, sometimes a lot, or basically the only thing that people will look at is the game realistic? And that's not necessarily what it needs to be. Like, it's not real. It's not real life. It's for fun. And so if you prefer something that's a little bit more cartoony, then more than likely you're going to prefer Rules of Survival. But as a general rule, I think most people would agree that most things in PUBG Mobile are more realistic than they are in Rules of Survival. Same with the way that the ammo system works. Obviously, you got to have the more specific ammo for your gun as opposed to in Rules of Survival. They just have a couple general categories. Sniper ammo, rifle ammo, SMG ammo, shotgun ammo. It's a little bit more exact when it comes to PUBG Mobile, which once again, it's up to your preference. If you want it to be as realistic as possible, then definitely go with PUBG Mobile. But if you're just looking to have fun, run around, and get a ton of kills, you're probably going to want to go with Rules of Survival. Now, honestly, with the way that both games are operating right now, it's pretty easy to get a bunch of kills in either one, because both games have a ton of bots, which is a little bit confusing to me. Obviously, you want to get people hooked on. You want people to think that they're good at the game, because the more kills that they get, the more likely that they think that they're actually like really, really good at the game. So in that regard, it makes sense that you would throw bots in. But if you want people to actually get a challenge whenever they're playing the game, then I would say one of the things that I do like about Fortnite Mobile, even though there are lots and lots of issues with the controls and other different things, in Fortnite Mobile, there aren't any bots. So you know if you win, it's because you were the best out of 100 people, not you were the best out of like 30 people, and then there were like 90 bots in the game or something like that. And so in that regard, I do wish that they would at least give an option to not have bots in the game. Obviously, it's cool to get high kill games, but if you're not actually having to earn it, then what's it really worth? So in that regard, one thing that I'd like to see it changed in both games is just kind of a reduction in the number of bots, because if you're hopping into your very first game of PUBG Mobile ever, like I hopped in and got 10 kills my first game, and then I got a 14 kill win in my second game. Yes, you feel like, oh yeah, I had a really good game, but at the same time, if it's just a bunch of bots that you're running over and shooting while they shoot at you like 100 times, like, you don't really feel that much accomplishment about it. So one thing that I do like about the bots in PUBG Mobile is they do actually shoot at you. It's literally impossible to die from a bot in Rules of Survival. And in PUBG Mobile, they actually can shoot you, although when they do shoot you, it's very, very little damage the majority of the time. But for both games, I would say at least most skilled players would like to see less bots in the game. Now, in regards to what the developers have done to upgrade the game, to continue to work on the game, I would say we've probably seen more progress from the developers of PUBG Mobile. I think part of my frustration with Rules of Survival has come from the fact that there have actually been a massive increase in the number of hackers on the PC version, which have made it almost impossible to play. So most PC players are pretty much like, I'm just about over the game. Like, I can't even get into a game and have a full gameplay without running into at least one hacker, and it just makes the game not fun. Now, there's not nearly as many hackers on the mobile version. I believe there are still hackers. So I have never seen a hacker in PUBG Mobile. Now, it may have just been I saw a hacker and I didn't realize it was a hacker, but for the most part, anytime that I've died, I'm relatively certain that it was simply because the player was better than me. So that's one of the things that's really cool about PUBG Mobile, is that it's realistic all around and you don't really have to deal with hackers at all. Now, both of these games do have customizable controls, and that was actually my biggest gripe for PUBG Mobile, for Fortnite Mobile, is that they didn't have any customizable controls, and the control setup that they did have already was pretty terrible. So that's one of the reasons that I'll continue to play PUBG Mobile and Rules of Survival until Fortnite Mobile gets fixed, because the controls just make the game kind of unbearable. I will say I like the tag markers on the players more in Rules of Survival. They're kind of off-center for PUBG Mobile and kind of bulky. Now, there's probably a way that you can change that. That's something that I had to do in Rules of Survival, because they used to be big and bulky in Rules of Survival, but you have the option to customize that. So that is something that I'll have to go back and check on. Now, there are a lot of really similar items in both games. Obviously, you got a hollow scope, red dot scope. They actually have the exact same scopes. They do have down sight scope, or not scopes, but down sight aiming in, which is something that I think people have wanted added into Rules of Survival for a really long time, simply because that's never something that you're not going to be able to do with a gun. Like, if I have a gun without a scope on it and it's real life, I'm not going to just sit there and shoot the gun from my hip. Like, I'm going to look down the sight in regards to get some kind of aim, which you just simply can't do in Rules of Survival. You have to have either a hollow scope or a red dot scope at least in order to actually aim in it all, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So in that regard, that's definitely a place I would give an advantage to PUBG Mobile. And I think just overall, the gameplay is smoother for PUBG Mobile. The first time I did a comparison of the two games, I think I came in and was a little bit biased, because the video that I did the comparison with was my first ever game of PUBG Mobile, which really didn't give me the ability to look at every aspect of the game and compare it equally when I had played tons and tons of games of Rules of Survival. So I've actually played quite a few games of PUBG Mobile, and I'm not going to lie, guys, I'm enjoying it more right now than I am Rules of Survival. Now, once again, for me, PUBG Mobile is newer, and obviously the more fresh something is, the more that you're learning it, finding out new things about it, the more that you're going to enjoy it. And part of it is simply due to the fact that I'm a little bit tired of Rules of Survival, and part of it is probably just because of the amount of hackers that I had to deal with. Probably leaves a bad taste in my mouth. But at least right now, it seems like PUBG Mobile is the future of Battle Royale on mobile. I think that scene is really blowing up right now. There are a lot of channels getting big from mobile Battle Royale games, and it's obviously not going to be restrained to just Rules of Survival. Really, when you come down to it, Rules of Survival is pretty much a copy of PUBG, and obviously they've got their differences. But I think when the developers were coming out with the game, that was the main game that they looked at and tried to take as many features from it as possible, which is alright. I think PUBG did that to some extent with H1Z1 as well when they were developing it for PC. And I think every game is going to build on some kind of other game in one way or another. It's very rare that you have a game that is completely different from every other genre of shooter games. I think the Battle Royale genre in and of itself is getting really big right now, and so because of that, you'll have a lot of games that are really similar and might seem like they're copying other games, but they're always going to put their own spin on it and have their own things that make the game unique. I think one thing that's just been a little bit frustrating with Rules of Survival is it seems they put more emphasis on just creating new skins and trying to find more ways to get you to spend money than on actually improving the game. It's been cool to have the Blitz game mode and other things like that added to the game, but there are still a lot of things that need to be fixed. I think there are still a lot of crashes that people are experiencing on mobile. That's one thing that I've heard complaints about a lot, and we haven't really seen a whole lot of fixes for that. While PUBG Mobile runs like really smooth on just about every device that I've heard about people playing the game on, it's really obvious that the developers have put a massive amount of time, energy, and money into developing the game, and I think it's paying off. Right now, PUBG Mobile is the #1 most downloaded free app on the App Store, and I think that's going to continue to go up and up more and more. It was Fortnite Mobile, but most of those downloads were probably not people that were actually able to play the game. because you still need an invite code to play Fortnite Mobile. You don't need one to play PUBG Mobile. So really anybody in the world can play it. And if you watch any Battle Royale related video on YouTube, just about every single one is going to have a PUBG Mobile ad on it, which is part of the reason the game is blowing up right now, because they're making a massive push to advertise the game, trying to grow it before Fortnite Mobile launches completely. So I think they're probably going to continue to do that, and you're going to continue to see the game grow. I'm not sure how much more Rules of Survival is going to grow. I don't think that it's going to die. I still think that it's got a lot of potential and a lot of good directions that it could go, but the developers, I think, need to focus more on fixing the issues at hand rather than just throwing some new skins into the game and ignoring the issues like the hackers on PC version, like the crashes on mobile, and whatever other issues they're facing. So let me know what you guys have been thinking about the two games. I have heard from a lot of Rules of Survival fans that they've switched over to PUBG Mobile, and that's probably what I'm going to be doing, at least for mobile. Honestly, right now, it's hard for me to even play Rules of Survival on PC. And so because of that, I'm playing more PUBG Mobile. So I've been loving the game. Hope you guys have been too. Make sure to drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video, and subscribe to the channel for more Battle Royale mobile content. And I will see you guys next time.